Good morning. Welcome to Ask the Maester Live. It's Tuesday. Today I will be answering your questions. What? I've been told to turn my music down. This is a disgrace. Welcome to Ask the Maester Live. I'll be answering your questions about Game of Thrones after Episode 2, Season 7, Stormborn. Let's get to it. First, let me answer some questions that a lot of people had based on the episode. Who is the prince/princess that was promised? It's a great question, and it's a question that has haunted book readers / show watchers / anybody who's been engaging with this story for as long as it's been around. Obviously, the characters within the story have been wondering this as well. Maester Aemon, for a while in his early days, thought it was Rhaegar Targaryen because of various things. Rhaegar thought it was himself, which is kind of shows you the arrogance that he had. Then he thought it was his son, Aegon, who is dead. Rhaegar also dead. Could it be Jon? I like Jon for it because, he came back from the dead. That's like it's a pretty big thing. Something someone brought up is the bleeding star, which is one of the hallmarks of the prince that was promised prophecy. Could that be Dawn leaning against the bed of blood at the Tower of Joy? That's a great one. I love that one. When you combine that with the Azor Ahai prophecy, which obviously these two overlap in various ways, I guess the main details from Azor Ahai would be the smoke and salt, right? Born amidst smoke and salt. And then you hear Renly say, is he a ham? Could the salt be Davos, a salty sailor, and the smoke be Melisandre? I don't know. But I like Jon for it. I also think Dany's got a great claim. Obviously, the dragons or the smoke from Drogo's pyre and her tears at Khal Drogo's death, or Mirri Maz Duur's tears as she burned alive. All this stuff is good. Also, when her dragons were hatched, there was a meteor, not right away, but there was a meteor after they hatched that was seen all throughout the world that would give you the bleeding star. Who knows? Let's go. Let's go to your questions. Why not? Let's see. Why did Riley Bingham, can a direwolf ride a dragon? Yes, for a time. I think that's probably, but it couldn't hold on. Let's see. Cody, why would Jaime let Tarly? Oh, these are going so fast. Hold on.
There's some Twitter questions on the doc.
These are going too fast, guys. Hold on. Let's go to the doc. Boss Kenny, at Boss Kenny. How much of a threat are the White Walkers to Essos? Do you have any similar stories, legends about their existence? Yes, this is a great question. There is evidence that the Long Night affected Essos. There are folk tales about the River Rhoyne freezing over and a darkness that lay across the land. Obviously, the Azor Ahai prophecy / legend originated in the east, so we should expect that winter, after a time, will affect Essos. Now, we don't truly know how winter works. Does it spread from the north of Westeros slowly out across the world? That's what I think happens, but we don't know. I think if you watch the show, and I think you do, you see that how winter has been slowly coming down to the Riverlands. Like Arya is riding around in the kind of middle Riverlands, and it's now winter there. So winter, I think, spreads from the north out. So yes, we should expect that winter will affect Essos. Let's see.
The Chris Platt question that I just posted is pretty good.
Chris Platt, can you unpack the 3 betrayals you hinted at Sunday? Yeah, this is more of a book thing. I'm not sure how much of the how much this pertains to the show. This is a prophecy that Dany interacted with at the House of the Undying. She was told that she'd be betrayed 3 times. What was it? Once for love? No, once for gold. Once for blood, once for gold, once for love. has she been betrayed 3 times in the show, and is that something that they're going to carry over to the show? They certainly gave you a lot of hints that maybe there's a mole in Dany's camp. Either that or Euron is just like, man, this guy is good. He picked out the exact location of the fleet, the exact ship that Yara and Ilaria were on. Yeah, so in the books, Blood is Mirri Maz Duur, who used blood magic to betray Dany. Gold is a character named Brown Ben Plum, probably, who has not been introduced to the show, but he switches sides. He was a sellsword. And then for Love, hasn't happened yet. The interesting thing about Jorah's betrayal is it really almost doesn't pertain to any of these, because he doesn't betray her for love, and he didn't really receive money for betraying her. So that's an interesting wrinkle to that. Next. Tom, how does losing the Greyjoy fleet, or most of it, affect Tyrion's invasion plan? Who's controlling Dorne? Are they still Dany's ally? Well, losing the Greyjoy fleet is bad. It's not all her ships. She had a bunch of ships still anchored around Dragonstone. The Dothraki, who have never ridden in ships before, are now just living on boats because she probably doesn't want to let them loose on the continent, certainly not that close to King's Landing, or else why not just have them attack King's Landing? It's a damaging blow. Yara was ostensibly her best captain because, they haven't really introduced the fleets from the Arbor, Paxter Redwine, who we would assume are helping her because they're allied with the Reach. That's a book character who's also a very good captain. Yeah, but she loses her best captain. She loses a large portion of her fleet, and she's not able to bring up soldiers from Dorne. It's a damaging blow. What happens now? Not sure. I guess the Dornish are going to have to march overland up the Boneway all the way up the continent. It's going to take a while. Ryan, do you think that's the last we'll see of Nymeria? It's a great question. I really hope not. But I kind of, I guess this is like a cheating way to answer the question, but, the show is very, does not parse out its direwolves easily. It is very miserly with the direwolf. So I would not be surprised if we don't see her again on screen, or if we just hear hints of this massive pack of wolves, like, killing things all throughout the Riverland. David, what role will a cured Jorah play, my man? Listen, my dude, what role will a cured Jorah play? Yeah, Dany needs people she trusts around her. And certainly Jorah is the person she's been around the longest, who she trusts, even though he betrayed her, the most. It's tough to say. Yeah, that's really, it's a confusing one. Other than to say that, other than to show that Sam is like a really good maester who understands how to use books better than any maester who has ever lived, who currently is employed at the Citadel, maybe that's the role. Is Jorah's role actually to introduce Grayscale to the continent? This is something that happens in the books as this war is brewing both in the east and west. You start hearing rumblings of a disease called the Pale Mare rising in different population centers. Is this a way that they could bring Grayscale to Westeros in a way that adds just more pressure to the things that are going on? Who knows? It's a good question. I like that. Ferret Medleg, is Euron's gift confirmed? Sure, why not? Like, Ilaria killed Myrcella. That's a pretty great gift for Cersei. What is it? Can she do anything with it in terms of winning the wider war? No. But she damages Dany, and she gets a measure of revenge. And we all know Cersei loves revenge. Moshi, if we assume that there is a mole in Dany's camp, who's the most likely to be the mole? I don't know. I laid out a bunch of suspects in my Ask the Maester column. Varys, who we've seen, it's one thing to say the guy serves a realm, and he does. But, his notion of the realm always seems to end up with him, like, on the winning side. You know what I mean? He worked actively against almost every ruler he served. That's a good one. Tyrion, went at Ilaria for killing Myrcella. Could he have done it? Perhaps. Also has no love for the Greyjoys. I would say that if it's anyone, it's one of those two. But I don't know. I mean, they certainly did want to seed that little bit of doubt into there. Shakim. In season 2, when Sam discovers the dragon glass, there's a horn with it. Any chance that matters? Yeah, I hope it matters. That was a cool moment, and the camera certainly seemed to linger on the horn. But then again, they haven't hinted at it at all. So it would be tough to kind of like all of a sudden be like, hey guys, remember that horn from season 2? On the other hand, that's basically what they did with Benjen, right? Like Benjen disappeared for seasons, and then it wasn't until, last season that all of a sudden they're like, oh, by the way, Benjen matters again. Remember that guy? He disappeared episode 3. Next. Jake. Does Varys responding to Dany's burn you alive comment with basically I'd expect nothing less indicate he may already be wary and may have an alternative plan in case Dany goes mad queen on us? I mean, this is not something they've hinted at, but I would suspect that Varys, who has served Targaryens, understands that Targaryens tend toward madness. It's a coin flip with them. They're eccentric, they're artistic, they're ambitious. That can also often bloom into full-blown madness. Of course, Varys would have some backup plan just in case Dany goes nuts. And also, she is burning people a lot. Like, this is super concerning. Why are you, you can just cut people's heads off, or hang them like everybody else does. You don't have to burn them. That's too much. I think it's too much. And also, every time she burns people on the show, she gets this look on her face where she's just so happy. So yeah, that's concerning, and I'm sure that would concern Varys, who has up-close experience with Targaryens. Dan, do we know who has Dawn and Brian? Does Beric have Dawn? No, Beric would not have Dawn. Ned after the Tower of Joy. Obviously, we haven't seen this in the show yet. But Ned after the Tower of Joy, because he's an honorable guy, we all know that, he returned Dawn. He returned Dawn to the holders of Dawn. Like he brought it back to Starfall. He didn't take it with him or give it to somebody else. I'm not sure how Beric would have it if he did have it. I've seen this theory kind of floating around. Does this look like Dawn? I would expect no, that the current Sword of the Morning, whoever that may be, has Dawn. Brandon, will the White Walkers come around the wall and not through it, given the iced over sea in the title screen? Yeah, that's a cool. It's kind of seeming more and more like that would happen. I kind of hope it doesn't happen because, then why didn't they do that at Hardhome? Why didn't they just swim or whatever? Is it like a snow cone, like they would melt? I don't know. Also, you would expect that the magical wards in the wall, are they just contained by the wall? Do they go out a little bit? We don't know that. But yeah, it certainly seems like they're hinting that they're just going to walk over. Which is kind of, I want to see the wall come down. That would be dope, wouldn't it? Richard, why hasn't... Man, it's getting hot in here. Now it's too hot in here. Richard, why hasn't Ed sent a raven to Winterfell about Bran? This is a great question. Surely Jon would have waited to go to Dragonstone if he knew Bran was on his way. Why? Because Bran can't reveal who Jon's parents are until later in the season. That's that's lame, but I can't think of any other reason. If you'd think the first thing would be like, oh, you're Jon's and Sansa's brother, everybody thought was dead. I'm gonna send a raven. But Ned, I guess, is Ed, I'm sorry. Ed has other stuff to do, to shovel the walkways of Castle Black. Nick, will the remaining Starks ever all be at the same place again? It's close, right? Jon and Sansa, so that's 2 out of 3. Arya's heading there. If no one dies by the end of the season, I would expect, yes, they would all be in the same place at some point. Daniel, why is Randall Tarley going to side with the Lannisters when he was a Targaryen loyalist during Robert's rebellion? Because Randall hates foreigners. Remember how he treated Gilly? He's a a Westerosi nationalist. Remember, he said he treated Gilly essentially as a subhuman. He called her a thing. So bringing Dothraki to the continent is not going to be something that Randall Tarley is down with. Also, the Tarleys historically, they're marcher lords. So essentially, the lords who guard the border of the Reach, and they've been doing this for centuries, guarding the Dornish border of the Reach against Dornish incursion. Dorne and the Reach have warred lots of times. So I could see him being like, well, you know, allying with Dorne and a bunch of foreigners, yeah, that's not, I'm not feeling it. So that is like quite a Randall Tarley thing to do. Couple more questions and I'm out. Angela, Dany and Jon seem too on the nose to be the picks for the prince that was promised. What do you make of the theory that Jaime is the prince that was promised? Yeah, it's tough because you'd have to lay so much groundwork for it to be Jaime. And Jaime's done so many bad things. And Jaime's not like, Jaime's only a good person when he's left alone, when he's by himself. He's easily influenced by the people he's around. Like when he's with Brienne, he's a good guy. He's a good dude. When he's with Cersei, he's not a great guy. Also the theory to me, the Jaime theory, which is, you know, like very thought out and very well done. I think it rests a little too much on Jaime himself being a metaphor for a sword, a weapon. The forging of the sword having to do with Jaime himself, the breaking of part of the Azor Ahai legend involves Azor forging the sword Lightbringer over many, many days and failing several times. The sword would constantly shatter every time he tried to temper it. So, as the theory goes, the sword shattering is Jaime like losing his hand and then like breaking down in the bath with Brienne. It's a little bit reachy to me, but you know, I dig the creativity. Scott, where are the Dothraki while Dany's on Dragonstone? Yeah, they're just on the boats. They're on the boats. They're like fishing. They've never been on boats before. Now Dany is like making them stay on boats. It can't be great for the horses. What are they eating? Like, what are they? It's not good. But yeah, they're on the boats. Is that it? Let me take one from Facebook because.
Do you want to do the shoot? Did you do the shoot around question? Who do you think is the princess of Thrones?
Who do I think it is? I think it's some combination of Jon. I think it's Jon and Dany somehow together. Someone asked. Obviously, we understand about the Valyrian with gendered nouns. They do gender differently, so it can be prince or princess in the books. The way this issue is raised is Maester Aemon says that dragons, he points out that dragons have no sex. Their sex changes depending on what needs to happen. They're male when they need to be, and then when they need to lay eggs, they're female. So the other question regarding High Valyrian is singular versus plural with those nouns. I'm not really sure how they handle that. But I think it would be cool if it was Dany and Jon in some kind of combination. Let's see. One more.
There's two on the doc if you want to check them out.
Sure, let me check the doc.
There's a good Periscope question that's been going around.
Best Periscope question. Where is Kyrie going? Oh, man. I'm writing about this now, not now, but you know what I mean. Kyrie, I don't know where he's going, but I just want to say that I'm pro Kyrie. He got his ring, right? He's 25. Let the dude fail. Do I think that he can successfully be like the best player on a team? No, but I really dig like the chutzpah. Also, it's like the anti-Durant. Like we killed Durant for taking, quote, the easy way out. Whether you agree with that or not, that's certainly going to a 73 win team is a different sort of challenge than going to freaking Knicks, right? Kyrie's doing the opposite. He's just like, I want to see if I can be the guy. Do I think he can be the guy? No. But I really, like, in a league that's getting more and more homogeneous in terms of the way people play and the strategies teams are using to build themselves, it's a super team league. I kind of dig one guy just being like, you know what, I got my chip. I want to see if I can do this. Maybe I can't, but I want to see if I can do it. I'm pro Kyrie. Anna, last question. What's next for Theon? What purpose does he serve after he keeps letting everyone close to him down? Theon's been through a lot. He's had a couple bad years, as Yara would say. Yara savagely dunking on him, like, with Ilaria again. Like, there's that moment in the boat where, you know, Yara is not attuned to, like, what's going on. Euron's fleet is approaching, and she's, like, hooking up with Ilaria, and then gives Theon, like, this Michael Jordan 6 3-pointers shrug that is, like, the most savage shrug I've ever seen in my life. Like, oh, well, baby brother, with, like, oh, sorry, brother, without, like, a pillar and stones, I'm going to smash again, like, in front of you. Whoops. So Theon's been through a lot, and he's been tortured. He was tortured for years. And those wounds don't go away. Yeah, I mean, he keeps letting people down, but that's what you get for letting this guy live. Somebody should have killed him a long time ago. Just put him out of his misery. And last question, Cody. How do you expect Jon and Dany's meeting to go? I think it's going to be contentious. Dany didn't come to Westeros to be the queen of the 6 kingdoms, and Jon is not going to sell out the ideals of the Northern Lords and their hopes and dreams in him as their leader cheaply. He's not going to kneel there. So it's going to be contentious, and I can't wait to see it. Bye.